Welcome into Real Biz. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today from Paradox Universe, filmmaker Joseph Mbah. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Big fan of your work, at least what I've seen of it. I know I got probably some more research to do, but I think you're an amazingly talented individual. Really grateful to have you on the show today. So before we get into all of that and, the newest projects that you're working on, just want to give you the floor here for a minute and have you share with us a little bit of your backstory.
Well, I'm a filmmaker. I've been a filmmaker for 15 years, and I'm just out here like everybody else trying to figure it out. I think the biggest misconception I had at the beginning is that the people who I looked up to already has everything figured out. But the truth is, we're all just out here trying to figure it out, man. So I'm trying to do the same thing.
And I think, especially in the film world, the people that you look up to, we often don't realize the 5 years it might have taken to make that movie, right? Or we just see the final product, and we're kind of in awe of that. And you don't see the trials and tribulations that person went through, not just to make that single film, but to even be in a position to make that film. So I appreciate you being willing to kind of, share that off the top, because I think that a lot of people who are familiar with your work, and after this, after this episode, will go out and get familiar, that it would be easy to say, oh my goodness, like Joseph is so amazing. He was probably born that way.
Nope. I am far from that. And I'll share two things. The first thing I want to say is, like, I just did a video where so we have a new movie out, and I know we're going to get into it, but this is the first movie that I actually have that has like a Rotten Tomatoes page, and the Rotten Tomatoes score is like a 6 out of 10, and that is mind blowing to me. And I did a video to just let people understand why I'm celebrating it so much, is because I've made now 6 films, and across all the films, you can look at it like 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, and eventually I got a 6 out. I'm like, a 6? I'm like, that is more than 50%. Like, what? Like, so yeah, nah, I man, trust me, man. I'm just, like I said, I'm just out here trying to figure it out. And recently also I was watching an interview, a 60-minute interview with Christopher Nolan, a bunch of other filmmakers who know who he is, and he's like the top of the mountain for me, right? He's like, man, if I can get there. And to learn, I just learned recently that his first breakout feature film, no one wanted to distribute it. Like, when other companies saw it, they thought it was a wacky, confusing film. And he fought for that movie for like a whole year. So I'm like, if Christopher Nolan has to deal with rejection and being told you're bad, then who am I? So yeah, no, absolutely, man. I'm just trying to figure it out.
And I think that story pretty ubiquitous, right? Especially in the film world, because it is very ingrained in its in its ways, and being the, especially in the content world that we're all, it's so crazy that it's become what it is now, where really anyone with a cell phone, which is literally 6 billion people on the planet, could become filmmakers or content creators, right? That film are still the top of that heap, right? And even though movies aren't grossing at the box office as they did when we were growing up, right? These mega hits that are, taking in hundreds of millions of dollars and $1 billion on the opening of the, opening weekends. Even though the film industry isn't that anymore, that it is still the top heap of the content that one can create, right? That storytelling inside of film still has that. A guy like Christopher Nolan, no doubt, has gone through plenty of people who were established in that world before he got there, that were like, oh, you're never going to make it. You don't even know what you're doing. And then it's because the industry itself was not really made for pioneers, right? And people had to come in and change it. I would say even a Steven Spielberg, who is on the Mount Rushmore of filmmakers, that he was not necessarily welcomed in with open arms. I'm sure when they brought Jaws to the, that people aren't, they weren't clamoring. The establishment was like, this is never going to work. What are you talking
Correct.
about?
Correct. Yeah. No, that is like it is more common in the film business that filmmakers get told no first. Get told no multiple times, and eventually then the filmmaker's like, well, I was right to begin with, but you just didn't see what I saw. So yeah, no, it just, and the more I find out that the people I looked up to had to deal with the same thing at various levels, the more I'm like, okay, man, it's not that bad. You could relax and just keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there for sure.
Yeah, well, and I mean, so many examples, like every famous director, writer that we can think of, George Lucas and Scorsese,
My
and like
God.
all of these guys were all, when they were trying to break in the 70s, everyone that was established in Hollywood is like, you're nuts. You
Yeah,
can't do
now
this. No,
what is
no.
this? What is this stars thing you're doing? Stop it! Stop it! Star what? Stop who?
It's never gonna work.
Get out of here!
No,
That
nobody's gonna want to
freaking-
watch that.
like, wait, your shark isn't working. Stop that, freaking artist. I'm like,
Oh,
man.
it's such a great but it's such a great lesson for life, right? That's what makes these stories so inspiring, and to be a fan not just of the films but of the filmmakers themselves. That it teaches us so much about life, because they never did stop, and it really is, in life you're going to have trials and tribulations that you're going to fight, and there's going to be so many roadblocks, but if you stay the course, and I think it starts with a dream, no doubt, that if you have a dream, you have to be willing to go through all of that. And in many ways, life or the universe or God or whatever you want to quantify it as, right, and label it as, is going to challenge you to see how much heart you have to make that dream a reality. And the bigger the dream, the greater the challenges.
Yes, absolutely. I 1 billion% believe in that, because like it's, if you have a dream that is like built on quicksand, which means like that dream is not deeply embedded in you, like it's not something like, oh my god, I have to do this thing. I feel like your dream has to be strong enough to withstand the test of time. And now what I tell people, like whenever I got asked like, what was the thing you didn't expect to happen, I'm like, I just did not expect how long it would take me to get to where I just got. Right, like it took me, if you asked me at 17, I was like, yeah man, it was like 2 years, 3 years, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do my thing, I put in work, and then I get discovered. I actually remembered I was 19 years old, and I had the audacity to pick up the phone and call Warner Brothers, and I was like, hey man, I got this great idea, and I'm trying to do this thing. And the gentleman on the phone was so kind, he was so nice to me, and he just stayed there and let me talk. And when I was done, he's like, all right, kid, I understand. You're about 15 years away from what you're telling me. Please go back. And I was like, you gonna understand. Watch me, 2 years, I'll be back. I'll be right back. Yeah, no, he was right. 15 years, man. Whew, Jesus. Yeah, nah. So, but your dream have to be strong enough to withstand the test of time, and because honestly, like the things, like for what I've learned as I've continued to journey, is that the things that happen, that I, at certain stages, I was like, man, this thing is really bad, it sucks that this thing is happening, why did this have to happen? The more I've gone along, I have now come to appreciate the fact that those things happen because they were happening for me, not against me, because like they helped me become who I am today. Like I wouldn't, if I didn't deal with A, I wouldn't have the skills and the capability to deal with B, C, and D, So that's just the way it is. And I'm honestly genuinely grateful for the journey, for sure.
Yes, we have to practice gratitude in all moments, right? Not just for the positive things that happen, but for what most people would look at as negative things, because it is those moments that have made us the unstoppable forces that we are today. And your story is no different than mine. 2 years ago, I had something inside of me, and honestly, I thought I was quitting my factory job to be a rock star, Joseph. And listeners of the show have heard me tell the story, but I had a bunch of gigs booked, and I had started the podcast just because having been on a few myself and being a podcast fan, it was like, well, I could definitely do this. And I have all these artists that are around me in the music world and comedy and filmmaking that I would love to have a conversation with them and then broadcast that to the world. That would be fun. So what started out as fun as the the tours commenced during the summer, and I was away from home and staying up way too late, and I was too damn old for it in my mid 30s and didn't have the stomach for it, that it was like, I think I'm going to go all in on this podcasting thing. Like, I'm having a really great time doing it. I feel comfortable in that space, and not that I don't feel comfortable on stage, but I just felt at home, and there was something driving and pulling me in this direction. And when I committed fully to the pull and just going with it and becoming better at my craft, that things really started to accelerate. And now I'm looking back and going, wow, we've done like 1,000 episodes in 2 years, and we've created so much more content than I've ever thought possible. I mean, beyond what we've done in-house here, but broadcasting from the red carpets of award shows. And we were just with the Sports Network broadcasting a charity softball game featuring players from the Minnesota Vikings. And you're looking back and you're going, if I wouldn't have just committed at any point and stayed committed, we would have never gotten these opportunities to go shake hands with guys that are performing at the top of the heap in one of the biggest businesses and sports franchises in the entire planet.
Yeah, no, like absolutely, man. Like that shift, the turn, man, we're going into different pockets I don't really get to talk about too much. It's like one of the things that has been happening more and more again as I continue the journey is being aware of the shifts. They're not huge, right? They're not like huge shifts, but they're like just shifts that's like nudging you in the right direction. And most of the time it will feel almost like it's the wrong thing to do. But like if you just kind of follow along, then it kind of positions you in a way where you're like, oh wow, oh, I see, that's where I'm supposed to be going. And then when you go down that path and you commit, you're like, wow. So like I'm right there with you, man. Like for me, for example, like, okay, I wanted to be, a filmmaker. That's the thing, right? Be a filmmaker. But like the idea of like doing like social media and doing content and getting in front of people and doing like that sounded to me like the last thing you do after you made a movie. Like you make a movie, then you go market it. But like the more I was kind of positioning, like social media have changed my life in so many different ways than I could have ever imagined. Like the people I've been able to connect with and the relationship I'm able to build and the opportunities that come from it that then turn around is helping the filmmaking has been a game changer for me. But honestly, if you ask me, just like you, like 24 months ago, I would have been like, no, man, just I make movies. That's all I do. Like, yeah, like, but yeah, seriously, just the shifts in life, man. They're really, again, they work for you for sure.
Well, and there's a mental preparation, I think, that bring awareness to that, right? So it's kind of having all of those stressors that we talked about a few minutes ago, those tribulations that you go through that mentally prepare you to be able to see when those shifts are coming a little more clearly. And then as we get older and we have more experience, we're able to identify them almost before they're coming. We're able to kind of forecast things that are happening and to go, hey, this is going to beget this, and this is going to beget this. So I need to be prepared to start making that shift ahead of time. And because these, battleships and aircraft carriers that are our lives don't turn on a dime.
No, they don't. They don't. And then especially when you turn around and you realize, oh wow, when I was in my early 20s, I could easily just get in my truck and and take a quick drive and happen go to California, go do that, go meet get that. Like now in my 30s, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do that. I have a wife, and then eventually gonna have kids, and like, oh crap, oh yeah, no, I can't just hop around. So then, but I have to still be strategic and nimble enough to take opportunities as they come, but it comes with being aware so that you can see it coming before it comes, so you can prepare yourself and everyone else around you for what might be coming. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Joseph, I'd love to dig into your, your filmmaking process a little bit, because I know you're kind of writing, directing, you're doing all the things, right?
Hmm.
So where does it begin with you? Is it a spark of inspiration, and the story kind of comes in an instant, usually, or is it sometimes like it's just like you get the first page and then it evolves from there? Like, I'm curious because like in the songwriting world for me, and I know you're a musician as well, so we could talk about that too. But like for me, most of the songs I've ever written in my life have just been done, right? Like it was a single stroke of inspiration, it was done. But an hour long film, hour plus long film is a different animal than a 3-minute song. So I'm just curious about that process. And I know I'm sure it's different, with every project, but is there something that are typical in your process?
Yeah, I'll say the thing that is most consistent is that initial idea that won't let go, right? It is an idea that like almost like grabs me mentally and says, "Hey, I'm here and you need to pay attention to me." Like, so for example, so and the movies that I end up falling in love with and doing are those ones that is like, hey, this is an idea and you got to do something about this, or I'm gonna keep knocking around in your head. So and it happened again like a two days ago. I watched something and then I was out and about and I was like thinking about life, and then all of a sudden it just kind of hits me, right? And then before you know it, the concept of the film is like, hey, this is what I am. And then from there, once I get what the concept is, what tends to happen is like then the beginning and like the middle and the end, or maybe the beginning and the end of the movie like comes to me. I'm like, okay, I know this is how the movie starts, and then if I do everything right, this is how the movie's gonna end. Then it becomes a journey of, okay, so then what do we do with the rest of this? Like that is the challenge. Like, so like I can call out to all my movies, and what has happened is that I, naturally speaking, I'm a director. That is where my talent lies. Like I have that idea and I have the beginning and end. So what I used to try to do is like, okay, let me take this idea and go give it to another writer, and so they can help me bring it to life. As time went on, I realized that, oh man, no, I have to be the person to give birth to this story in its entirety, because there is so much nuances in the story that I just cannot fully articulate. I have to write it down. So then I had to like learn how to be a writer, and then that took time, and it's still taking time. So what has happened is like, once I have the beginning, I write it down. It's like, and it will run me like page 1 to like 15, and then that's all I have. Then I'll just jump to the very end and I'll write the very end. And then I'll just sit there for months and look at that story. I'm like, okay, so where do we go from here? And that's my process. And then if like, so I had an opportunity, I think my fourth film, where I was approached by a distributor who had financing, who was like, hey, we need to make this movie, here's the idea, here's the concept, and we need it delivered by X amount of time. So that kind of put a crunch time on me, and then I just had to force myself to get through it. But it's not my best work because I didn't follow my process. But if I can, whenever I've been able to follow through my process, the early idea and then the procrastination that happens in between, I usually come up I usually come up with something that is, that's something I would, be proud of. So
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that procrastination period, as you put it, that's like the time that the cake is in the oven, right? There's a lot of excitement when you're putting all the ingredients in the bowl, and then we all know what it's like to eat a birthday cake. But that time where it's just sitting there, and you really can't see much happening, but what's happening is what makes it good at the end. Right.
Yes.
And that may be a little bit too simple of an analogy.
Oh, it's a
for,
great analogy. It's great. Yeah.
But as someone now who is, starting to dabble, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's film because I'm just, really swimming in the unscripted content side. I love doing interviews. I love but it's telling stories. The stories just happen to be real. Right. And the documentary style things are what it is. So while I'm not making pieces of fiction that are telling a story that was made up, with whatever bits of truth may be in it about fictional characters, we're still trying to pull those real stories out, which in some cases I think may be even harder to do because you have to get it right. You can't fudge the facts along the edges.
Yeah, no, man, I commend you and anyone who does like documentaries or anything that has to do with like real life stories, because that's like to me it's like being on stage or being a stage actor. Like I have nowhere to hide. Like you have to tell the truth. You can't just like, oh man, all right, well this is not working, but hey, but what if we went here? Like you might have like, what if we went here? While I would have like, what if I went here, maybe here and here, maybe we can come through here and then we could patch it up. Like, but you guys are like, no, like, so man, hats off to you and anyone in your realm. That it's incredible what you guys are able to do and to be able to tell a story that captivates an audience. And that's huge, man. That's huge for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Joseph, what do you got coming up here, over the course of the next 12 months or so that we can look forward to seeing?
I have a film out right now called Whispers Bind. It is a psychological horror starring my wife Mbah and me as her love interest, directed by me and written by both of us. It was like, this film was like my best filmmaking experience because it was like a family fun project. It was just me, my wife, my friends, and our collaborators working out of my house and other locations, and we just made a movie that we're very happy with and proud of. And so, yeah, it's called Whispers Bind. Look up the trailer, check it out and see if it's for you, and, go give it a watch. It's currently out on Roku and Fawsome, and soon it will be Tubi and other platforms. But beyond that, I am writing a movie I've been writing since 2020. Procrastination, huh? Yeah, I've been writing this movie since 2020. Like in 2020, I had that same thing. I had the beginning and the end, and then I'm on page 70, and the movie needs to be. It's like the story just keeps going, so it's going to be about 100 and something pages long, and but it's an action-packed, very much like the kind of movie I've been trying to make for all these years. It's like going to be a culmination of everything I've learned so far. So it's going to be an exciting one. So those. So Whispers Bind out, go check it out, and then look out for my next action movie. I'm not gonna drop the title just yet. So, but that's it. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Joseph, I appreciate you coming on the show with me today and sharing a little bit of your process. I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll be chatting by any means. I look forward to hopefully getting a chance to work with you on some films in the future, and whether that's you helping me direct some documentary style stuff, or maybe me getting to star in one of your feature-length films one day. Even though I have no aspirations to be an actor, you never know when the idea might hit you that you're like, no, it's about him, and you just have to kind of play yourself with a different name. That I could probably accomplish.
Yes, man. I'm so happy that you're open to the possibility of the variety of collaboration that can happen. And that's one of the things that I love about our industry is like when you step in and you meet like-minded people, you just gotta kind of let the magic happen. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it, man, for sure.
Joseph Mbah, thank you so much for spending some time with me here today, and thank you for being part of the scene.
Thank you so much.